Hey, what's up, everybody? BDF 44 coming at you another video. All right, so I'm in my meditative space. Of course, this is, one of the last days I'm gonna be able to sit in my little favorite spot with my candlelight there. So, yeah, I just figured give y'all a little content because that's ultimately what I do. Got the grease on my face, just jumped out the shower. It ain't as simple as just trying to choose whether or not you want to take your nighttime shower when you done gone and walked couple miles and all that. Nah, that dirt hit your face, you better get in the shower. You ain't gonna be feeling as comfortable laying down if you me. That's kind of how that goes. But I was sitting here thinking about difficult times that I had been through, trying to derive some strength to keep pushing forward for the day, which is being rather successful, to be honest with you. I feel pretty confident looking back on a specific event. When my father had passed away. I don't know if I told this story in the camera. I probably did, some random therapy session or something. I probably mentioned it throughout the course of conversation, but I was thinking about it right now. But we buried my father, and that night, coming back home, after everything, after we had done all we were gonna do, hanging out with the family, had a couple of shots to drink, smoked a little weed, but not enough to make it so that I was unable to drive. Now, honestly, I should not have been driving. And I'll tell you that right now. Even though I had like one shot or two shots of tequila or something, that's too much. That's clearly too much. I got away with that, but the point was, it was one of the most scary moments of my life. After I had gotten in the car, which was actually like 3 blocks away from my family's house. Why is that relevant? Because I didn't know where I was at. In San Bernardino, I'd only been out there twice. And, for whatever reason, I had parked so far away. I don't remember how that went, but point was, I walked to my car, no problem. Got in the car, no problem. Turned on the car, big problem. The car didn't turn on. It's like, okay, this is a problem. The ignition would not turn on. And on top of that, my phone wasn't getting any service in the area. It was just jammed. So it was pitch black dark. I'm somewhat inebriated. I'm far away from the family house to where if I start walking back, trying to backtrack to where they were, I can't even see because the lights aren't even really up like that. They didn't really have street lights on the streets like that. So how I found my way back to my car is a mystery to me. But that I found my way to the car, it was like, all right, I'm ready. Let me get my GPS on and all that, and let's just get on the road. You know what I mean? That car ain't start. And that's when I started feeling the biggest anxiety I had felt since I was a little kid up to that point. It was like, uh-oh. Because at the end of the day, the push come to shove, what I can do is just tell my family, yo, come back around, pick me up from where the car at, I got lost. But the problem is, of course, the phone is off, so I can't do that. So I ain't got no way to get a hold of nobody I know. And so I just sat in the car and started praying. I said, Lord, I don't know exactly what you want to do here, but it looks like I'm kind of stuck here. It looks like I'm going to have to stay in the car till morning or something of that nature, unless you turn this damn phone on. unless you get the phone back to working. And I think about that trip because not only was that a problem with the car, but the wheel alignment started messing up on the way there. I started noticing the wheel was a little tight when I started when I started going up to San Bernardino, and it got significantly tighter on the way there. So I'm going this long trip with my wheel alignment completely off, to the point where my car is somewhat shaken. It's almost like you gotta drive at a tilt to get it to drive straight. It was unbelievable how much adversity I went through trying to go up to San Bernardino for that event. And when I started praying, and I started leaning into my faith, like, look, this is God's in control, just like I'm doing right now, which is why I'm reflecting on this moment, because all I could say to myself was, breathe, relax, you know what I mean? Just sit here for a second Get your prayer on. Remember why you're here. Like, why am I here? Because your daddy. You paying your final respects to your dad. And when I said that to myself, I was like, yep, that is why I'm here. And I don't remember how many different thoughts went through my head between that moment and when the phone finally turned back on. But eventually the phone turned back on not long after that. I don't think I was sitting there for longer than 10 minutes. But there was 10 of the most faith applied minutes of my life, to where I really, it was just a fear because of the fact that I was so far away from home. I don't remember what my working situation was, but I probably had to go to work the next day or something. I don't remember that, but I just remember feeling so much fear, like just being caught all the way out somewhere. You don't know where you at, and you can't get a hold of nobody. And all I had was my faith, and I just knew that it was gonna probably be a night where I just had to sit in the car all night long and then try to get a hold of my family in the morning somehow, hopefully the phone won't jam, or if, obviously I'd be able to see in the morning, so I just track my way back to their crib, try to see if I can get my car towed or something like that. It was all different types of stuff I was thinking about. I don't remember what my financial situation was, but I'd imagine I wasn't doing that well to where I could just handle all that with no problem. So it was just a lot of things that was going on in that moment while I was sitting in that car waiting for that phone to turn on, waiting for my car to turn on. And when the phone turned on, I tried the ignition, and the ignition turned on. So it was like, okay, all right, that was a nice little faith applied moment. I can derive from that later on. And that's what I'm doing. That's exactly what you're seeing here. It's me reflecting on that, saying that's the same type of faith I need to apply now to the short time that I have left in this apartment between now and when I'm going to be homeless. And it's like my temperament. I was thinking about while I was taking my shower and saying my prayers in the shower as I always do. I was thinking, the way that I want to be is kind of more proactive to doing things. Like if I were to take the advice I would give someone else, I would be telling them to do more things than I'm doing. But it still speaks to the temperament that I have to focus on stress, and it just doesn't line up with what it is that's needed. And so if faith don't work out, then I'm just going to be in a space where things go bad because of what I'm used to and what I'm conditioned for. So that's why I'm trying my very best to override that conditioning. You know what I mean? Getting out there and walking every day. Trying to pray as hard as I've been praying. It's because that conditioning needs to exit the premises, as we always talk about. So, I just remember that moment where I just didn't know what was going to happen for a good 10 minutes, and all I could do was just sit there and be in fear and let that fear turn into prayer. And just like he's done every time in my life, he's just kind of did something to make it work out. Did something to make it just turn back on at the right time. Did something to make me once again have yet another nugget to tell you, that's when God came through for me again. And it's been a lot of them, y'all. Like too many. And that's why I have such a weird way of living right now, as opposed as it pertains to applying that faith. It's weird in the sense that you ain't gonna see too many people living like this, thinking like this when they're in these circumstances. Trying to let God guide them. It's very difficult to be in that space and live in that space with the Lord, especially if you have influences around you, a lot of people telling you otherwise and things of that nature. My isolation didn't allow for it, so I allowed myself to stay in that faith and apply it as I saw fit, and it's been a great thing for me. It's gotten me through a lot. It's helped my temperament handle certain things that otherwise wouldn't. So, yeah, I just remembered that, looking back on that, I'm thinking it's another one of them times. I'll be much more serious now, but this is still the same type of thing to where I'm not sure how God's going to do it. I don't know what I'm going to have to do between now and when things get better, but I do know that He's already put it in my heart that this is yet another one of them situations where it will get better. It will get better. Not only will it get better, but I'm getting better in the process of it getting better. And so that's what I have to hang my hat on, let it be, and as I've been saying all day, the support I've been given is amazing. And even though this wasn't the most productive day in regards to what needs to happen, I still did a lot of things that got me closer to what I need. So I ain't gonna sit up here and say I was as pleased with myself today as I was yesterday, but I gave it the amount of effort that I thought I could give it. I really did. And I got up in the morning, immediately did my little offer up assignment, so to speak, put all that stuff on the app. Almost had a buyer, but it doesn't look like that dude is serious. Not at all. Because now the email he sent me had the checks attached to it with my name on it. But now it would be a situation where I would need to use a printer to scan the pictures off my phone to then apply it as a check to my account. It's just a bunch of bull crap. For $160, he was gonna give me extra $30 for my trouble, but it's like, bro, I don't have any other devices. That was the problem. He needed me to either have a laptop, a printer, or iPad for which to scan his check from my phone, and then from there scan the phone to my account. It's like, yo, bro, if you don't have Zelle, let's not do this. Because he trying to give me $1,400 and then wants me to pay some other dudes $11. It's like, man, what are you doing? Like, you're not purchasing nothing. You're trying to give me money to give to somebody else. What kind of weird? So for my thing, from where I'm at, I'm like, nah. And then when I told him the bank that I work with, he didn't want to deal with the bank. It's like, yeah, he on some shady. Ain't no question about it. Because, Navy Fed is directly connected to military. So if they doing some funny, it ain't gonna work. And as soon as he found out I was with a Navy Fed account, he was like, oh, you got another account? You got anything else? No, I don't. So you just gotta watch out for these scammers, man. That's what it really comes down to. You gotta watch out for scammers. You gotta watch out for people that want to use you as a middleman to get things done so that they don't have paper trails on their money and stuff like that. I don't know what people are doing, but I promise you, they ain't gonna be using me to do it. I can promise you that. So, and then he wants me to, he's gonna trust me with $1,100 of his money in my account off of sheer trust. And what are we talking about? And I'm supposed to give that money to some other strangers who's supposed to be coming pick something? Nah, I don't like none of that. All of that looks weird to me. All that looks weird to me. Why are you trusting me with that money in the first place? You know what I'm saying? That don't even make no sense. So my thing was, that looks shady. And that's it. I'm an open-minded person that I can get good business done, but I'm also a person who understands that people run game just like anyone else. People be running game. So when you see weird stuff like that, you just got to trust your gut and say, yeah, you can go ahead and give me another opportunity, Lord. I'm going to pass on that one. So that's how I feel about that. That transaction is not going to take place. I've made my decision right now. I'm going to sell it to somebody else. I'm cool. If he comes back around and says, well, we can do it. No. I'm good. Now, all I need is the amount that I asked for my item. That's it. I don't need to be gifted $1,100 just to be asked in trust to give it to somebody else when I don't know none of y'all. It's just a very strange thing to me. That's very strange. But nevertheless, man, it is what it is. I'm not going to stress it. The point is, everything is on the app. I did the job of the day. The job of the day was to try to get as much of that stuff on the app as possible. And that's what I did. Cleaned off everything, took a bunch of pictures. It took like 4 hours almost. Sorting through things that need to be, done that way. And, mostly the rest of it was just therapy sessions. I think getting up in the morning, making a 50-minute therapy session, and then proceeding to go and do everything I had to do. I looked up, it was already 1 o'clock. So it's like the day just kind of got away from me, but you just got to trust that you did what the Lord wanted you to do. When I look on and I reflect and I think about what's coming to mind, I just feel like this was yet another successful day where I was able to put enough content in the channel that reflected the faith that I'm applying. And I think that's what ultimately this is about for me. It's just making sure that not only am I healing myself, but I'm also putting myself in a position to maybe reach somebody else and help them through whatever it is they're going to go through very, very soon or later or whenever. Hopefully not very soon, but that people will be able to, redirect their thoughts if necessary. Even if you're not wired incorrectly, if you have to adjust to something, you know that by way of what you've seen, it may be possible. By way of all the things that I've suggested, you may be able to apply some of that to your life or suggest it to someone else just the same. Excuse me. So, at this point, I'm just thinking about how pleased I am with where my body's at. As I'm continuing to have these good workouts throughout the week. Now these little sore spots in your stomach, you just, you feel sore throughout the day, throughout these last couple weeks, different parts of your body. And you look up on a day like this when you're not sore and you see all those, where those sore points were, dense. You know what I mean? You start to see the definition in yourself that you've finally been looking to see all your life. That's where I'm at. That's exactly where I'm at. So it's a weird space to where I'm happy in some very, very key areas that I've never been happy before in my life. And unfortunately, I'm about to be in a space where I may not have anywhere to stay. And so I may not be able to keep up some of those practices if not for this, the miracle of the Lord allowing me to do so. So I speak life into my stem every day, as you guys know. I pray about all of these. So whatever he wants me to do, it's his vessel. And given the fact that I've been through so much adversity, I don't know what to expect. There could be a lot more adversity. It could be none. I don't know. But, it's just about following that belief in the word. And, another thing I gotta give a lot of credit to this book. I guess I'll show you the book. I'm not doing anything else. I have to give credit to this particular book. It's a book my grandmother gave me a long time ago. Very long time ago. And it's called Jesus Calling. I'm going to show you this. Jesus Calling. Sarah Young. And a lot of the things in that book, I find a lot of the teachings in that book. As I read those books every day, those affirmations every day, they got an entry for every single day of the year. So I've been reading that book every day as long as I've been here. I had that book when I lived in Wilshire in LA. I've had that book for over 20 years. And I just realized that a lot of stuff that I've been talking about, a lot of the different ideas that I have in regards to God and how best to reach him and how best to see him and how all these different things, how best to I can get a lot of that from that book. And I don't necessarily find myself cognizant of that, but when I look in the morning and read the entries, it's like, yo, yeah, that's where I got that from. Yeah, that is exactly where some of my ideas in regards to how to reach the Lord come from. And I've applied those things and seen it work. But it's like, you forget where you get your wisdom from sometimes. You just read something every day, you keep it going, but this stuff really, really embeds in your soul when you read it that much. It really gives you an understanding of what it is she's teaching, and then from there, if it works for you, now you got it. So I can honestly say that I've gotten a great deal of energy and positive information in regards to how to reach the Lord from that book. It's really, really helped me. It's helped me navigate certain things in this house, obviously. Getting me up in the morning when I was feeling my worst sometimes, reading some of those affirmations, and it would be exactly what it was that I was going through. That's happened a lot of times. And, what I do is I read that and the Bible every morning. Only a chapter of the Bible, because I don't honestly love reading the Bible. I don't particularly love the wordplay. It just gets a little too thee and thou-ish for me. But overall, it's like, out of respect, I try to read a chapter of the Bible every day, and then an entry of that every day. And I'd start my day that way. And so, it's just a lot of stuff there that just provides a certain level of focus and comfort that I'm looking for. Focus and comfort. The stuff outside of my control, it's only but so much energy I can really give it. Whether or not I'm gonna be fortunate enough to find a place in time, whether or not certain things are gonna come to how I'm gonna do certain things. I just gotta live this out. I don't know how to do better than I am. And that's the bottom line. The conditioning of my mind doesn't allow for me to be even more thorough, not without losing it. So it's like it's only but so much I'm gonna allow myself to do, even when necessary. And that's the moral of the story. And I'm not satisfied with that. That speaks against the effort that I was asking all of us to pour into life. But we're not talking about what I agree with. We're talking about what I'm used to. We're talking about what I've been doing and what I need to break at 38 years of age. And that's an entirely different thing than what it is that you actually respect and want to see in yourself. Trying to get there. Not there yet. But as I sit here and I have my phone in my hand, I'm like, well, I could go on Hood. I could go on whatever these little websites are that would ultimately get me what I need. The reality is, I just don't have that to give it right now. What I do have is to give you this. And I just trust that the Lord has me where He wants me to be. I didn't necessarily have intentions of turning on the camera right now. But what I was going to do is probably listen to some music, sit here and get my little prayer going the way I always do it. But then I realized that my father's the funeral situation that night kind of played in my head, and the voice kind of just hit me. That consciousness kind of hit me and said, you know, why don't you just share with the people that story? Let them know about how you got through that. Let them know how the Lord was able to get you home in those impossible circumstances. And look, after I got the car on, after we got the phone to working, we got on the road, and the wheel alignment was awful, and it was raining all the way home. On top of all that, after I finally got the car on, would you not know that it was probably raining hard with bad wheel alignment, cars veering left, veering right, just trying to keep the alignment going in the rain for a good 2.5 hour drive. I tell you, that's why I truly believe, because the God had got me through some things, man. There were points in that drive where I literally couldn't see in front of me because it was raining so hard. The alignment was off. It was just like, this is the most dangerous drive in my entire existence. Well, the second most. I actually had a really rainy night one night that was worse than that. But the point was, I'm supposed to be just trying to get home for my dad's funeral. And that was the experience, driving home for my dad's funeral. The worst possible trip home. And yet the Lord carried me home. You know, I had my music playing. Eventually, once I started, once we got into like an hour and 20 minutes of the trip, the alignment didn't feel weird to me anymore. It just felt like all the little turns and twists I could barely see. My mind and my body was just doing exactly what it needed to do to keep me healthy, keep us alive. Nothing happened, even though the car was veering left and right because the winds was blowing. It was just like, it was like an exaggeratedly ridiculous experience. And it's not something I reflect on very much, just because I lived 38 years and that's just not one of the thoughts I think of. That's another thing. If you're a young person, sometimes the stuff that's most like important in life, the more of them things keep coming, and it's like some of them, even when they are important, it's like, well, damn, I don't think about that too much. That ain't really happening too much. But when I was in my 20s, it's like everything that was serious was so very true. Anything that happened at 10, I ain't forget. Anything that happened when I was 5, I ain't forget. And 15, I ain't forget. Now at 38, it's like, yo, that was extremely important. That was extremely serious. I really went through that. And I got about 800 other thoughts that could come into my mind at any given moment, and that one doesn't. And so that is what the reality is of that conversation. I don't know if I ever told y'all that story, but my dad, we had a beautiful service for him, and the day was great. I had a great time with my family. It didn't get bad until I got in the car. Everything was fine until I got in the car, and the rest is history, man. I remember when I pulled into this apartment, because I was living here. It's been that long. 2016, excuse me. Obviously not 26. 2016, like this October 15th or something, or 20th, something like that. It was around that time. I think probably passing like the 15th or the 16th. So I'm assuming it was probably like the end of October. So, and mind you, Mom had just passed away like 8 months before that. I don't think it had even been a good 8 months. And Mom was gone, and then Dad was gone. So it's like, I'm going through all that. I'm still mourning Mom. I'm just now mourning Dad, and now I gotta try to drive home in this craziness. I was so drained. And see, that's the heaviness that I have to reflect on. It's like Mommy had just passed. I'm doing all of this with that still on me. Very, very serious. And it was like when Dad passed, my mindset was just like, you know what I mean? What can I do? It wasn't like I was as close to my father as I would like to have been. But at the same time, I was close enough to where that was tough, man. That was tough. And we all, of course, as a family, hung close to one another. We got through that moment. And I'm so thankful that I have such a big family that was so loving and all of that. We love each other so much. And it's one of them situations where, I just thank God that he got us through that. Thank God he got me home. You know what I mean? Thank God. I have memories of that moment. But it gets to a point where you almost don't want to talk about it because you don't want to trigger your family. Like, I talk about what happened in the funeral, but it's like, nah, because I wasn't as close to dad as maybe my sister Diane was. So if she's watching this, I don't want her thinking about nothing that's going to make her have to relive that. And that's what my voice getting bigger is going to have to make me better at. It's just knowing that all of my transparency would probably not be best if it isn't focused only on me. But when I talk about me, it's not very possible to not talk about people that are close to me or that are family members, especially when I'm assessing what it is I'm feeling and going through. So that's where I want to get better, and I hope the Lord helps me be more responsible in that way so that I can speak on what I'm going through, but not necessarily doing nothing that would otherwise not be respected by my loved ones. So that's just something I want to get better at. But nevertheless, that's where my head was. I was thinking back on some of those moments and how we handled that, and I just reflect on that with a lot of different emotions and feelings, of course, So now I look up and I'm in this space here, and it's just like that's where I get all my faith to keep going from. I remember my mother applying faith when things were really tough. I remember other friends and family, same thing. Seeing people all over up and down the timeline of my life, just applying faith, never giving up. I don't care what it is. I'm going to see it through. Trust God. And you see so many people throughout your life, all trusting God. All of them got testimonies to where, and this happened, and this happened, and this is what transpired, and this happened, and this happened. And look what God did. And when you hear that all your life, like I did, and you believe it like I do, you don't just kind of take that in one ear and out the other. You really do apply that. You really look around and say, okay, now what will God do for me if I start praying for others? What will God do for me if I start asking him to do things for me? And that's what started the process of me truly getting close to him. And so, I'm thankful, and I want people to know how thankful I am of God's intentions upon my life as it pertains to these difficulties. And I just want him to continue to speak through me in the ways that he wants to, while simultaneously working on what needs to be worked on to take care of the things outside of my control, of course. To be cognizant of the deadline of the circumstances. And so I know he is, and I am as well. This day could have been better. Could have been better in regards to looking for apartments. Could be better in regards to I think that's about it, actually, to be honest with you. I think that's what I need to be doing, is looking for apartments, and everything else is kind of up in the air. I didn't communicate with my uncle today. I'm trying to stay patient while people have to live their lives the way they do. It's easy to say meet the urgency of my moment, but when people got other things on their plate, you just feel like it's unfortunate that you have to be yet another burden. That's really all I feel. It's like, this was not ever supposed to go down. This was not ever supposed to happen. And so it's like, now that, it's a space where I really need the urgency to be met, it's just like, even so, I also appreciate where somebody would say, you know what, let him figure it out. Like, I can see myself being in his shoes saying, he's going to have to figure this out as man. Like, literally. And so when you think of it that way, it gets scary, I guess is the word I use. But at the same time, it gets to a point where you're like, well, I appreciate that that may be the case, and if it is the case, there would be some appreciation for the faith applied. You know what I mean? To say he gon' figure it out. You know what I mean? And maybe I'm perceiving it the wrong way, but that's just what I choose to feel. Like, you know what? Yeah, maybe there's some belief in me that I need to discover to get through this, that maybe I ain't gonna find unless I get through it on my own. I don't know, but I just wish it were as simple as choices not being made properly. See, that's where it becomes a situation where I think the confusion for a lot of people who don't know me would be if I'm cognizant of whether or not certain decisions should be made. And so that's where it goes left, because for me, obviously, as you know, it's temperament. I always tell y'all it ain't got nothing to do with logic. Logic is usually fairly clear to me in regards to what it takes to do what is needed. But to turn myself into the person that needs to do that would be to betray who I've been the whole time. And betray, it doesn't mean that I wouldn't be willing. It just means that it doesn't seem as easy to do. You've been rocked to sleep all your life not to really be as thorough as maybe the person would be if they were going to be successful in this situation. And as a result, all the nights where you, instead of doing your homework, you slept. All the nights instead of doing, study work, you did video games. And then you get to a point where it's like now, and it would have been wonderful if you were used to all of those different conditions that would have made you ready for anything at this point, at least of all to not even be in this situation, because you would have already taken care of certain things that would have made it so that this didn't happen. So that's the reality of it. My conditioning has been bad in that way, and I don't necessarily feel like doing what needs to be done is as simple as me just trying. It gets to a point where I get frustrated. I start not being able to accomplish it. I turn a 1 hour job into a 6 hour job because of that. And so it's like, that's going to be something I want to start the process of getting better at, and I hope that through what it is I'm faced with, we can get that going. So that's what it is, man. Just wanting to see better out of myself. I can't say I'm satisfied with today. Yesterday, I was ecstatic with everything I did. Today, it just didn't, my efforts didn't manifest. And it's a reminder that that's possible as I continue to go forward with this deadline. It's like, you got but 12 days, and you've already seen how one day manifested nothing. You can't let that keep happening. So it's like, where does the faith come in there? How do I meet that with faith and match it with what is necessary? It's like, at some point in time, you can't be confused about what the difference is between pessimism and just actual observation of circumstances. And so I'm trying to find where that begins or where that ends for me. Observation of circumstances versus just sheer out doubt. And so I don't know what to do with doubt. Pessimism is usually to be rebuked, but doubt is just you assuming you know what's going to happen. And based on what I've seen in my life in 38 years, I never actually know what's going to happen. Never. So that's just what it is, man. All in all, I wanted to give you guys some comforting energy. And I'm not feeling bad, but I'm pretty certain it's not comforting. It's just where the night is, man. It's just where the night is. I'm looking forward to the Lord making tomorrow a much more productive day. And even though I had some joyous moments today, absolutely joyous moments, I need to be able to accomplish a bit more tomorrow. And I look forward to having the favor of the Lord meeting me there, because I've had some adversity in that way, dealing with the spam and all of that, trying to go to my email account, find the emails I need. Obviously with this transaction, that offer up stuff, it ain't manifesting. And so it's just like, okay, God, I'm not frustrated with that. I did apply some effort for sure. It's not like I didn't give it my all or pray or do all the things I needed to do. It was a very good day for a lot of things, but at the end of the day, I just know that it's going to take a lot more to make things okay for me. And so I just wish that I was used to doing what I need to do. And so that's it, man. This is what I'm wired to do, though. And maybe, just maybe, this might be the ticket above all of these little problems. Maybe me doing this therapy session thing can turn me into somebody that people will recognize, and then from there I might have things to do that won't have to do with just scraping the bottom of the barrel trying to make it. And so that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping that by way of the speaking on the Lord, that I'm manifesting a path for myself that'll give me the life that has eluded me this long. The happiness that just ain't been in my life, despite me wanting to engage in good energy. And so that joy comes from God, but it also comes from your effort and respecting yourself and all these different things. And so I'm learning to do all of those things better. And that I demand more of myself is a breakthrough in and of itself. Because I would have been satisfied with this day, almost every day behind us. So that's what I'm most encouraged about, that I'm not happy with how this went. And I did put in effort, and it was pretty damn solid for my standards that are not up to standard. And so that's it, man. I'm all right. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day. I thank you guys for allowing me to speak of myself and my beliefs as I do. A lot of y'all come here to assess my mindset, and I've been preaching to y'all the whole time. like you came into a Christian church for no reason. You didn't want that, but I just don't think that I know how to do it any other way. To be honest with you, I don't know how to do what I do during these times without that type of mentality. I don't know how to. And so I just give people what I am and what I have, and show you what I am. And I think this is a worthy legacy, man. I really believe that. Call me crazy, but I was raised to believe that this is an honorable way to do it. You tell people about God to the best of your ability. You be as honest as you can with what it is you can give people, and be as consistent as you can when you're trying to do content. Try to keep giving. I really took serious people who told me, no matter what you do in regards to this YouTube thing, just keep doing it. The only way you're going to grow your channel is if you don't stop doing what you're doing. As long as you continue to flood your channel with content, eventually the people that will be drawn to it will get to it, and you will find people that are catered to what it is that you're about. And so that's what I want to say to all the YouTubers, and maybe some people out here who are watching me. Obviously, success hasn't been found yet, but if you look at my profile, you'll also see that a lot of the bios and all that stuff is blank, and that has a lot to do with why my channel hasn't grown. But as I've been telling you guys, I'm looking forward to making those changes soon. In fact, I may take a whole day in this era while I'm still in this house to do that. It take a whole day, but it is what it is. I just think that the Lord will guide me in regards to what needs to be done with that. You know what I mean? The channel doesn't take precedent over me laying my head down, obviously, but having a place to lay my head down. But also, I got to take back what I said about my first therapy session when I was going to Costco. That was a solid therapy session. It wasn't bad. When I listened back to it, it was actually much more cohesive than I thought it was. I was talking about stuff that I think I don't know nothing about in regards to living a certain life and throwing your life away, going to jail and all that stuff. That's not my world, but I just don't understand why people sign up for certain things that don't look like it's going to work out. I said the same thing about the Lakers. I say the same thing about people in the streets. Why the world y'all want to sign up for something that don't work? Why y'all want to do things dang well just don't work? And so that was something I was confused by, and then I look at myself and say, why do you do things that don't work? This is probably the same answer. And so, who am I? Just somebody trying to figure it out like everybody else. And sometimes people just don't make the right decisions for reasons that you can't understand. And I think even if they try to explain it to you, maybe it just ain't gonna come together for you anyway. So sometimes you just gotta let things go. And when it comes to people's actions, you can't be married to them. People gonna let you go. People are not gonna always come through. So, and that's just how it is. I was expecting my homegirl Kay to come through today. Didn't happen. But like I said, the prayers that I prayed to break away will allow for that. They allow for me to be able to sit in spaces like this and not even hardly think about that. Because at the end of the day, if I got my head on straight, I can't really worry about anything that isn't going my way because I'm too busy doing other things that would allow me not to think about that. That's also where God comes in. I can't be wrestling over what she's doing or what she's not doing or what, you know what I mean? like I was doing a year ago, like I was doing 3 months ago, or what have you. Because at the end of the day, like, Lord has her where He wants her to be. Now, maybe her intentions was to come hang out with me, but maybe her intentions was just to make herself feel better about wanting to be around somebody maybe she didn't really want to be around. You know what I mean? It's that kind of thing. It's like she wanted me to feel like that, but when it comes down to it, maybe it just couldn't happen. You just don't know. But in this walk of life that I'm in, I know that those type of energies, porcupine energies that ultimately hurt the people that they care about. Just like I used to tell you that metaphor about porcupines that hug you, prick you. They love you, but you gotta love them from afar, because if you love them too close, it's gonna hurt. It's just like you get to a point where you just gotta pray prayers against that kind of stuff. People gonna be who they are. People gonna be in their DNA. Just like with myself, disappearing on people and stuff like that. It just, if you're gonna be in my life, that was something that you would have to deal with. And so I don't find myself sitting here saying, "Oh man, she flaked on me," and like, no. God has a different plan for her today, and I'm doing what I need to be doing in this space. And I'll see her again someday, and it'll be fine. You know what I mean? But you don't allow yourself to get caught up in the worldly thoughts of anything other than, not today, another day, maybe. But nevertheless, regardless of what, I'm gonna be out of here. So that's just the truth. I'm not gonna be around. I like being in LA, and I hope that my path is in Los Angeles. I'm gonna make a push to try to stay in LA, but you know, it's just up in the air, and it's up to God, and I'm open to moving on from this place, especially if He can give me the temperament to do so, and the temperament to do work when I get to where I'm going. Everything else is going to be touch and go, as far as I can tell. You know what I mean? I'm not really too certain about what happens, obviously, with this situation being as it is. It's all I know is that 2 weeks from now, I had better be somewhere else permanently. And so when you have that on your plate, a lot of the stuff that would otherwise matter so much about who's doing what and who's not, it just can't come into play. It just can't come into play, man. So that's what it is. I've grown a great deal in regards to how I handle these type of things with her. It's like, nah, prayers have been prayed. I'm not going to feel any negativity about that, or any longing for something other than what it is that's coming my way. I got too many real stresses and worries to give anyone that much power right now. I just don't have it. So it is what it is, man. She's still my friend. Love her to death, but it's just yet another one of the situations. It just is what it is. So I don't think she's much different than me in that regard. I'm the same way. Sometimes I just don't want to do it. I may have told you I wanted to do it, but my temperament won't allow me to see it through. And as you get older, you start to realize that it doesn't benefit your reputation to commit to things that ultimately don't work out, whether it's your fault or not. If there's a chance it don't work out, it's probably a chance you shouldn't commit to it. It's not going to make people feel loved if you tell them you're going to do something for them and you have no intention of doing it. You don't have to offer that. That's what I want to tell people. You don't have to offer that. If it's something you really don't want to do, but you want the other person to feel like you're willing to do something for them, that's an empty feeling, because you don't actually want to do it. You're not actually giving them any real energy. That's more or less fake energy. Fake in the sense that it's not going to actually enrich them. It's just an attempt to make them feel as if you would be willing to when you aren't. And so it only reflects poorly upon yourself in the end. But I don't harbor any sad thoughts about that today. The Lord won't let that in. He just won't let it in. Just like I said about the anxiety and all that other stuff I was going through, the rigmarole with her. At this point, it's not like that right now. I'm really genuinely fine, and it's because I have to be with everything else that's going on. And That also brings me to my faith in God. All the stuff we've been talking about God, he ain't letting me get into those spaces right now. No, I think that all in all, when it really comes down to, when it's really fine in the end, all the different things that I did that I didn't necessarily feel bad about were things that ended up coming back to me in the form of other people doing it to me. That's the truth. And I don't think Kay's energy toward me is any different. And I've told her that more than once. I personally think God is just paying me back by way of you for all the people that I didn't reach out to, speak with, give energy to, show love, whatever I didn't do in the spirit of my very own interest. It's like I'm getting it all back later on. And so in that respect, it's just like I said, when you feel you deserve, or you know the Lord's getting you back, it's like the wisdom is to take on that hell with pride in your heart, because you know you deserve it, and you've already gotten the recipient of what it is that this costs. Now you're just paying the toll. That's the word. Now you're just paying the toll. So that's kind of how I look at it. It's like, not that I feel I deserve to be, in any negative thoughts or have felt any negative way, but at the same time, it's like, hey, you made others feel that way, so how could you not expect that it come back your way? So when you understand it, deeply understand it, you don't blame the other party. You look at God and say, I see what you're doing, and hopefully your wrath can end so I can get back to being okay again. That's what you say to God. Like, yo, are you done? You good? You got more to do? All right, I'm gonna brace myself for that. Keep going. All right, you got enough now? Like, that's what I'm doing with him at this point when it comes to stuff like that. It's like, you want to get his pound of flesh? Get his pound of flesh. You know what I mean? I felt like a little bit of tonight was like that too. Maybe I read too much in the signs, but it was a situation when I was just reaching for my candle behind that television and scraped my hand pretty bad to the point where I had to put 2 Band-Aids on it. That was right before I sat down here about an hour and a half ago. And I just felt like, that was unnecessary. Like, that's completely unnecessary. But when you look at it from a perspective of, okay, but I'm blessed because I got 5 more Band-Aids, plenty of Neosporin, so it's like I have what I need. Yeah, the scrape happened, but I also got the solution. You know what I mean? So that's how you gotta look at it. It's a metaphor for my life right now. Yeah, I got the problem, but I also got the solution. The solution is God. An abundance of God will take care of all of this. So even when my hand gets scraped, just put on the solution, keep it going. I don't even feel the pain right now. You know what I mean? So it's like, that's what I want people to understand. And I always tell you guys about my allergies and stuff like that. I mention at least 3 times a day. It's because it's the same thing. Like, take your lumps, keep on going. Condition yourself for it. You'll be stronger for it. Keep going. Learn to love what it is that you have to have. That's what I'm trying to do. They want me out of here in 12 days. I won't be gone in 3. If I could help it. They want me gone. I can't wait to leave. You know what I mean? So you condition yourself for what you have to do. And so that's what I hope to be able to do without submitting to things that are unnecessary anymore, because I've been doing that too. Don't let that go too far. Stop things before they get too bad. Don't be like me in that way. But what I'm saying is, if you did all you could and it goes that way anyway, and the best thing you to do is to sway with the wind. You don't necessarily have to go against that wind in that situation. You just sway with it. Okay, this is what I got. Okay, what are my options? Let's go with those. Pick the best one, keep it pushing. Build from there. Get your rest. Take care of yourself. Stay prayed up, and then do it again. You know what I mean? Just keep on trying the process of doing your day-to-day until you build what it is you need to build. And as you get tired, ask for more energy from the Holy Spirit. Give me more energy, please. Give me the rest I need to replenish my energy. Give me the break I need to whatever. Make it so that the energy is not necessary right now. May I have it when I need it. That kind of prayer. Just keep on giving their faith the attention that it will ultimately help you for having. If I worded that correctly. I don't think I did. But just apply it and see it work for yourself, man. I'll tell you that 1,000,000 times in 1,000,000 different ways, because I know for a fact it's the only thing that's keeping me going. So, speaking of circles, man, I hope this crap ain't boring to you guys, but all in all, the faith that I apply is ultimately why I survive. BDF 44, I thank you all for watching.